The government is upset that there's a low birth rate in the United States of America, but we can't even feed the children that we have in this country right now.
I'm so fucking tired of life. I can't afford to live here anymore.
Bro, how are people making it? If you making $30 an hour, it's weird to ask that, but how are you making it?
Sometimes I wonder if our country thinks that poor people should just die.
If you are not struggling financially right now, then you need to consider yourself completely blessed. Like, don't even consider yourself. You are completely blessed.
So how far is this gonna get? Like, is this the new lifestyle? Are we gonna do absolutely nothing about housing? Right? Is there gonna be just no affordable housing at all? Like no $500, $700 apartments? None of that? Everything's just gonna keep being more and more and more expensive? Because right now, there are about 3 million Americans, and you can Google this, right? You can do the research. Google it. There are about 3 million Americans living in their cars or van life, right? And those numbers are going up because people just can't afford anything. Everything's just way too expensive. Something has got to change. Something has got to snap. Something has got to crack. Okay? We cannot have our families living in cars, dude. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, tell me what you think.
Somewhere.
Day 37 of living in our car. We've been living in our car for 37 days. It's been very hard.
America is struggling to survive right now. The cost of living has hit an all-time high, and people are waking up every day wondering how they're supposed to make it through the month. Rent is climbing faster than paychecks. Groceries feel like luxury items, and even the basics, food, gas, housing, are draining people dry. Families are cutting back on everything. Young adults are living paycheck to paycheck, and even full-time workers can't afford a stable life anymore. This isn't the American dream we were promised. This is a country fighting just to stay afloat.
Well, apparently I need to go tell my 80-year-old tenant that she needs to get off her fucking ass and go get a job if she wants to eat in November. Yeah, some of y'all are on this fucking app and on the interwebs with your whole motherfucking chest talking about how fucking amazing it's gonna be to finally not have people sucking off the tit of the system. Did you ever stop to think about the fucking elderly people? My tenant makes $800 a month in Social Security. We charge her $500. She has $300 a month left over to fucking pay for her heat, her power, her cell phone, whatever the fucking else necessities that a little old fucking lady needs. But now she's gonna have to figure out if she needs to heat her house or fucking feed her belly. That also goes for children, you fucking monsters. Children are going to go hungry every fucking day because of decisions that Donald Trump and his administration are making. Yeah, poor people, oh, clutch your fucking pearls. People working their ball sacks off, working 2 fucking jobs who still qualify for SNAP recipients. Nope, they're not getting food either because fuck them poor people. And here's the best one, vets. You motherfuckers are cheering for our military, our motherfucking military members to starve. So no, I am fucking so angry. I'm angry. One, I applied for SNAP benefits back in the year 2000 when my husband was in a coma. I made $11 an hour and I needed to not work to be with my husband who was in a coma. And the state of Oregon said that they could not give me any assistance whatsoever because we owned a 1988 Honda CRX that was valued at $2,300 at the time. So the state of Oregon told me, we can't help you with anything. No food, no housing assistance, nothing. I was left to flail by myself. And what did I do? I had to turn to my community. They had to help me because when I fucking needed it the most, I couldn't receive benefits. So to the people who are on benefits, bless you. I don't fucking hold any of that against you, ever. I hope that you get food assistance. I hope you get housing assistance. In this fucking world that we live in, life is fucking hard and it shouldn't have to be. And for those of you cheering this, oh my God, universe, come and get them!
So what happens if nobody can afford anything? If prices keep going up like they have in the past 5 years, what happens in 5 more years if they keep going up at the same rate? I've seen so many stories from around the world of housing has doubled in this city, or electric bills have tripled in this city. At what point can nobody afford anything? I honestly feel like we're already there. So many more countries are dealing with homeless crises. You hear more and more about cities just becoming absolutely unaffordable, all while there's less and less jobs. Applying for jobs takes years at this point, and if there are any jobs left, they're being taken by robots. So what's gonna happen? Seriously, we have to be on the verge of something, right? I mean, it cannot trend this way forever. I just went to the grocery store and bought 4 things and it cost me $25. A single cabbage cost me $14 in Florida in the United States of America. It was a fairly large cabbage that made a lot of kimchi, but nonetheless, one vegetable should not be costing $14. I've completely stopped eating meat. I'm a vegetarian now because I can't afford meat. It's just also exhausting. I don't have the answers, and I'm hoping maybe you do. Or what do you think's gonna happen? Because at this rate, I think nobody's gonna have anything in a very short time. And I find that very scary.
Americans cannot afford to live at all, okay? I just had a conversation with some coworkers, and they told me that some of their family members are actually living in their cars, right? They're living in cars to save money, right? They shower at the gym and they just sleep in their cars to save money and all that stuff because the rent is way too high. It's like nobody can afford to live. The only people that can afford to live, that can afford food and rent, comfortably is you got to be making like near $1 million, at least $500,000, because even people that are 6-figure earners, depending on where you live, they are struggling like crazy. But check this out, these are Americans living in their cars, yo.
Let's be honest, America is barely holding itself together right now. People are working full-time jobs, sometimes 2, and still can't afford the basics. Groceries that used to cost $60 are now $120. Rent that was $900 is now $1,700. Gas goes up, utilities go up, insurance goes up, but paychecks stay exactly the same. And it's not just one age group suffering. Young adults in their 20s and 30s can't even dream of buying a home, and older folks in their 50s and 60s are postponing retirement because they simply can't afford to stop working. Everyone is drowning while the government tells us the economy is great.
If you are not struggling financially right now, then you need to consider yourself completely blessed. Like, don't even consider yourself. You are completely blessed. Like, every time I check my local mom group on Facebook, I see requests or people asking where they can get some financial assistance to pay utilities or assistance with rent. And it's concerning because these people are working full-time jobs and they just can't make things work right now. For example, this morning, a woman posted she's an RN working 2 jobs and still is struggling. I know we're all complaining about how expensive things are. For me, personally, like my car insurance doubled in August. I was paying around $140 a month, and now I'm paying $280 for 2 vehicles, and I'm one driver. And I have never had a claim. There was no reason for the increase other than they just increased me. On top of that, Florida Power and Light rules the entire state of Florida now. They bought out Gulf Power, and since then, all I ever hear about from people is how astronomical their utility bills are. Everyone is trying to find ways to save money. But as soon as we save money in one area, something else goes up. So it's just kind of like we're sliding this scale back and forth, and it's actually like increasing. We're never saving. No matter how hard we try. Like, I stopped eating out with my kids. Obviously, eating out is super expensive, but I went almost a month no eating out, and it was still a struggle. And if you made it this far, I don't mean this to be like a pity party thing. I'm figuring it out. But last Friday, my birthday, my boss cut my hours in half. So yeah, I guess this is also like a PSA to people who aren't struggling right now. Don't be tone deaf, because you never know what's going on behind the scenes. If you start to notice behavior changes and lifestyle changes, I can promise you it's because people are being proactive or, I don't know, maybe reactive to their financial situation. It's just a mess.
The government is upset that there's a low birth rate in United States of America, but we can't even feed the children that we have in this country right now. We can't feed our children. Our children's classmates go to school hungry. Their parents don't have snacks in cupboards. Their refrigerators are empty. They count how many days they eat on the road so they can save that one fucking snack for Friday night when they get home from school. And you're asking us why we're not having children? You have taken away every opportunity for us to make sure our children are thriving, healthy. Kids are hoarding food because they don't know when the next time they're gonna fucking have it. Mothers are stealing formula from Target that is $53 a fucking can. It's a specialty formula because mom, unfortunately, with all the stress she has to live through, can't fucking produce milk because she's stressed out over bills or where she's gonna live if her fucking car's gonna get repossessed. But you're wondering why the fuck we're not procreating? I love an orgasm just like the next person. But if I fucking have one more baby, everything I have established now will fucking fall apart. You don't think I want to see another little baby running around in my house? I would fucking love to. My kids would die for it. I'm a better person today than I was 20 years ago when I had children, and I could do an amazing job with this baby, but I can't afford it. And I logically know that my children would suffer because of this one baby that I want. So do I put my wants ahead of my children? No. And the government is pissed off that we all fucking woke up. When you have to put a food bank in a daycare parking lot so mothers know that it's safe to go get some food for the weekend for your children, that's a motherfucking problem.
I'm so fucking tired of life. I can't afford to live here anymore. I can't afford to live here anymore. I just spent 6 hours of my life serving tables, running around to make $50. To make $50. And I already know the comments are going to be like, well, get a better job. I'm trying. I moved here 3 weeks ago. I've sent out over 100 resumes. I've had one interview. I didn't get the job. I knew I blew it. I did not get the job. I'm trying. The only reason why I got a server job is to make some money while I'm trying to get my big girl job again so I can get checks that actually matter. You know, so I can make money I can actually live off of. But nobody calls. Nobody's calling for these jobs. You know, Indeed is, we're hiring. Or where? Okay, because I sent my resume and I can't afford anything. Okay, I live with my son and his roommates right now, and I'm very thankful for that, but I need my own place and I can't afford it. I can't afford anything. I cannot afford to live here anymore. And I can't take my own life. You know, so like, what am I supposed to do?
Growing up in the United States, I've been conditioned to never go to the doctor, ever, in only saving it as a last resort. I'm actually just curious, like in other parts of the world, what do you do if you're sick? Like, do you go to the doctor? Or if you have stomach pains or back pains or whatever? It's so foreign of a concept to me to actually go to a doctor, because here they're just so prohibitively expensive. Even urgent care clinics, just to get into an urgent care without insurance, is to be seen as like $350. So medical care for most people in this country is just completely out the window. And we've just been kind of raised to tough it out. If you're sick, you just go to work anyway. If you're not feeling well, you just go to school anyway. How do I break out of this mold when I move abroad? You know, if I'm moving to Portugal, like it's going to take a lot for me if I'm going to be under the weather to actually ring up a doctor. I feel like that is just a huge culture shock for me. So thanks for chiming in and let us know. How does it work where you live?
This is honestly heartbreaking because this is the reality for millions of Americans. We've been raised to believe that going to the doctor is a luxury, something you only do when you're on the edge of dying. Not because we don't care about our health, but because the system has made basic medical care feel like a financial punishment. Imagine growing up thinking stomach pain or back pain or fever isn't a reason to see a doctor. It's just a problem you push through. That's not normal. That's survival mode. And it's wild that Americans think this is just life, while people in other countries can walk into clinics without worrying if the bill is going to wipe out their bank account. The craziest part is that people genuinely don't know how to unlearn this. You move abroad, and the biggest culture shock isn't language or food. It's realizing you're allowed to take care of yourself without going into debt. You're allowed to rest when you're sick. You're allowed to see a doctor before your condition becomes an emergency.
So this past month, my boyfriend and I cut down on our water usage a great deal. We saved about 500 gallons of water. I want you to guess how much our water bill went down by, though. If you guessed just over $2, you would be correct. That is how much the taxes on stormwater and sewage and everything else that's included in your water bill have gone up, to the point where you saving 500 gallons of water makes no difference, basically. Florida has become so unaffordable, and I really haven't heard anybody talk about how expensive our utilities alone have become in Florida. We've got insurance companies pulling out of Florida because it's more likely that there are natural disasters here now than not. And that's not profitable. Having to pay people to fix their houses isn't profitable, so why be in that state? You know, it's not like that's what insurance is for. And our salaries aren't keeping up with this, obviously, because why would they? Why would we need more money to survive? We're not even going to get into groceries and the cost of living in general in Florida. Utilities is just scratching the surface. This is one of the many reasons my boyfriend and I are moving to Lisbon in less than a year, because we just can't do it anymore. We can't take it anymore. Like, in what world is any of this normal? Oh, and to those of you that voted Republican, is your life any better now? Is your life any better now that you've made trans people's lives harder? Is your life any better now that you've made abortion pretty much inaccessible to women in Florida? Is your life any better now that everything is way more expensive? Because I know the vast majority of you do not have millions and millions of dollars. I know you all are feeling the squeeze, but because you're sheep, you probably blame this on the Democrats. Even though all three branches of our government are currently red. Anyways, thanks for listening. Thought I'd share all this.
President Trump is tired of hearing about how much things are costing you.
So I don't want to hear about the affordability, because right now we're much less. If you look at energy, we're getting close to $2 a gallon gasoline. With Biden, it was $4.50, $5. Another thing, inflation. We had the worst inflation in the history of our country. Now we have virtually no inflation at all. It's down at a very low number and a very normal number.
That was Trump just last night. Now, you can feel any way you want about what the president just said. As always, I do not report on feelings in this video. I'm going to get into the actual facts and the numbers when it comes to what he's talking about, gasoline and inflation. But before I do that, I just want to take you back a few years. Do you remember when inflation was really high? And I was reporting on it here on my page every single month. But President Biden and his entire administration would say up and down and over again that inflation was transitory. And then when the inflation numbers did actually start to come down, the Biden administration kept saying, see, the economy is getting better. But you called bullshit. You said over and over that the cost of living was too high. I know, because you were telling it to me in my comment section too. And that was happening because you were feeling the long-term effects of inflation. You were seeing it in your grocery prices and your gas prices. And because of that disconnect between what you were saying very loudly about the very real cost of living and what the Biden administration was trying to convince you of based on the numbers, what happened during the 2024 election? In the end, Democrats lost the House, the Senate, and the White House. Now, I just wanted to remind you of that episode because just like what happened with President Biden, what President Trump is saying now is not connecting to what you are saying about this economy and the cost of living and prices being too high. Okay, so now let's get into the actual numbers. You heard Trump say gas prices are getting close to $2 a gallon. According to AAA, as of yesterday, the average price for a gallon of regular gas in this country was $3.08. That is only 3 cents cheaper than it was a year ago. And diesel, that's sitting at $3.71 a gallon, which is 14 cents higher than it was a year ago. So none of that is anywhere close to $2 a gallon. But in the state of Mississippi, the average cost for a gallon of regular is $2.61. That is the closest to $2 a gallon I could find. But it's still 61 cents above $2. Now, let's talk about inflation. Trump keeps saying that we had the worst inflation, and now we have virtually no inflation. Well, he's partially right. Coming out of the pandemic in June of 2022, we saw inflation spike to 9.1%. That was bad. But Was it the worst we've ever seen in the history of our country? No. We've had several periods of higher inflation. For example, in the late 1970s and early 80s, inflation peaked at 14%. Just ask your parents and grandparents about it. They'll tell you. Now, let's talk about this other claim that President Trump keeps making. He keeps saying we have virtually no inflation. And your groceries and energy bills, he says, those are great. It's the press who's lying to you about it.
Our energy costs are way down. Our groceries are way down. Everything is way down. And the press doesn't report it. The press reports whatever the con people say. You know, I call the Democrats con men and women. They make up numbers.
Okay, so let's start with overall inflation, and then I'll talk about grocery prices and energy prices specifically. As I've been reporting every single month for years, the U.S. government releases a report on inflation every month. Coincidentally, Trump's own Bureau of Labor Statistics said in the month of September, which is the most recent report we have, inflation increased 3% when compared to September of 2024. It also increased between August and September of this year. The Federal Reserve wants inflation to be increasing at no more than 2% every year. So the fact, according to Trump's own government, is generally inflation is going up, not down, and it is not virtually gone. It's very much still around. Now, let's talk about grocery prices. According to that same September CPI report, the price you are paying for every single item at the grocery store was 2.7% more than it was in September of 2024. And if you can afford to go out to a restaurant and eat, the report found in the month of September, that would have cost you 3.7% more than it did in September of 2024. So grocery prices and food prices are up well above the 2% Federal Reserve target. Last, let's talk about energy, and that's a doozy. Now, I already told you about gas prices, but energy isn't just about gasoline. The same September CPI report found electricity is up more than 5% year over year, and natural gas is up almost 12% between September of this year and September of last year. Trump said none of that's a problem, but the only problem he does see is with Republicans who are not telling you how great Trump's economy is.
So the affordability is much better with the Republicans. The only problem is the Republicans don't talk about it. And Republicans should start talking about it and use their heads, because we have great...
So I was just out on a walk right now, and check out these homes next to this path that I'm on. I was looking these homes up on Zillow, and you're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $615, $625, $650 in some cases for these really tiny houses. I mean, they're not very big. You can see the properties they're sitting on are tiny, and yet people want $650,000 for these homes at what, 6.25% interest rates? Like, no wonder nobody can afford anything.
Sometimes I wonder if our country thinks that poor people should just die. I say this because our federal minimum wage is $7.25, and even though in a lot of states it's higher than that, right? Like, for example, I'm from New York City, and it's $16.50 right now. Even with that, you would be living in poverty. And I don't think it's crazy to think that people who work minimum wage jobs should not be living at the poverty line. And then they tell the poor to go to college so you don't end up in a minimum wage job. So you go to college, you take out thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and then you work a minimum wage job throughout college to pay for it and interest, right? And then you get out of college even more in debt than you were prior. And then best case scenario, you do get a job straight out of college, and then you spend 20 plus years paying it back. Yeah, that definitely does sound like the American dream, and I cannot wait to continue living it.
This right here perfectly captures the problem in America. Because honestly, sometimes it really does feel like the system is designed for poor people to fail, or worse, to just disappear. When the federal minimum wage is $7.25, and even in states like New York where it's over double that, people still can't afford food, rent, or basic survival. That's not an accident. That's a choice the country has made. And then the message is always the same. Just go to college, work hard, and you'll escape poverty. But what they don't say is that escaping poverty now requires going tens of thousands of dollars into debt. They tell you to get a degree, but they don't tell you that you'll be paying it off for the next 20, 25, sometimes 30 years, just for the privilege of getting a job that still barely pays enough to keep up with the cost of living.
Bruh, how are people making it? If you making $30 an hour, It's weird to ask that, but how are you making it? After you pay your rent, $1,500 a month, that's on the low side. Car note, $500 a month. Phone bill, $100 a month. Insurance, gas, food, electricity, health insurance. They're all these day-to-day expenses. How are people making it? You do the math, and you come back and tell me what the numbers look like for you. Because a person can make $30 an hour and it is going to struggle. I can only imagine making $15 an hour. You cannot live on that. No, you cannot. You cannot convince me otherwise. You cannot live on $15 or $30 an hour, or you're going to stay broke.
Y'all, I'm parked in front of Dollar Tree because I'm about to go in there and get some essentials. But before that, I honestly just had like the only crash out because I had stopped to get gas, right? And I'm really in a place in my life where I'm really budgeting my finances because I just don't got it like that. I'm in a real crunch, survival, financial fucking rut. And I know it's not forever, but this is just a chapter I'm in. And as much as I try to be positive sometimes, like it's really hard. It's really hard to be in a financial like survival mode when you don't know what your next move is. You don't know where your next resource is coming from because it fucking makes you hypervigilant. And like when you're hypervigilant, like you can't relax, your brain can't shut off, and you can't stop worrying, and that shit just drains all your energy. Like having to worry all the time drains your energy. And I understand that like people are like, oh, pray, and don't get me wrong, I pray, but when I'm about to take a shit and I don't know when the next fucking slice of paper toilet is coming from, like, you know, that's real life 3D shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like it's a really difficult place to be in. And so with that being said, I had $25 in like my Apple Cash card. And so I was like, all right, bet I'm gonna go to the gas station. I'm gonna get $15 of gas. And then the rest, like I'm gonna take to get like a little bit of essentials at Dollar Tree. And when I asked him for 15 regular, he had put gas in my car and it charged my whole shit. And I just stood there because like, I'm not trying to crash out in front of this man, but I'm like, fuck. Like I literally don't have anything else. Like my regular account is negative. Like fuck. I have no toilet tissue. I have no, like I need stuff for the house. Like I don't have water. Like I don't, oh my God. So he was like, oh, like it charges you temporarily. Like it's gonna refund you. So I literally drove off and I parked on this random street and I just cried. Like I just cried. Like I let it all out. Like I couldn't even, it wasn't even one of those like boohoo cries. It was just like one of those silent cries where like the tears just come down and you're just like overwhelmed. You just shut down. And within a couple of minutes, like I got $11 back. Thank God. And so with that being said, I'm about to go into the Dollar Tree and I'm about to get, you know, whatever essentials I can with that. But y'all, this is not okay. Like this is not normal. And I share this not because I want to give a sob story, not because, you know, I'm asking for help or anything like that, because honestly I'm a person that has a very hard time receiving help, and that's not even like my gist. It's just to shine a light for other people that are going through this shit, because I know that I'm not one of one. And it's not even like, oh, you can tell somebody like get a job. Most of the jobs right now, most of the jobs are not paying enough for you to cover rent, for you to cover bills, and for you to be able to live. You know what I'm saying? Like it's insane. And I don't know where anybody else lives, but I live in New Jersey. It's super fucking expensive on like the Northeast. Like it's the fact that other people live like this, because like I said, I know I'm not one of one. This shit is insane. And the fact that like it's only gonna get worse and this economy is only getting worse. Like I understand, like I said, this is just a chapter. Like I'm in my last year of grad school, so I know I'm gonna have a career next year. But the fact that like not many people are in my position and probably, you know, like have kids, have way more responsibilities than I do, and they have to live like this, it's fucking horrible. And it's depressing. And I think a big issue with like mental health and depression in this country is probably because people can't take care of themselves. And people know that. It makes you feel like a second-class citizen. It makes you feel like shit. It makes you feel like a bad person. And it makes you feel like you're not enough. And that's a shitty feeling. And it just makes me sad. It makes me sad that as a country we advance as much as we have, but there's so many people that are like falling between the cracks, and I don't know if anything will ever be done about that, you know what I'm saying? But it's just, I had to share because this shit is hard, and if you're going through this, I'm really sorry, and honestly, I wouldn't wish this on nobody, for real.
You know what's crazy? I'm paying $2,300 to live in my house that I own with my husband a month. And we just got a letter saying that we, starting November 1st, are gonna owe $330 more a month because of property taxes. So for our almost 1,800 square foot house, we're gonna be owing $2,600 a month. It's absolutely insane.
Hi, ma'am. How are you? No, you're on the street.
Not exactly, but almost. I need money. I don't have
For what do you need money?
food, water. I don't take drugs or anything. I haven't had a drink in 35 years.
So as we wrap this up, let's be brutally honest. This country has placed millions of people in a position where survival feels like a full-time job, and somehow even that isn't enough. We tell people to get educated, to work hard, to chase opportunity, but what good is any of that when the rules of the game are rigged from the start? When wages stay frozen while rent, healthcare, food, and education skyrocket? When the punishment for being poor is simply trying to stay alive in a system that gives you no margin for error? Think about what we're asking people to do. Go to college, go into debt, work low-paying jobs to pay for it, graduate with even more debt, then spend decades trying to claw your way to financial stability, all while minimum wage workers, single parents, students, and even full-time employees fall deeper into poverty. And then somehow, the narrative still says it's their fault. Work harder, make better choices, be more responsible. How much harder can people possibly work when they're already giving everything they have? The truth is, this isn't an individual problem. It's a structural one. People aren't failing. The system is failing them. The American dream used to promise that if you put in the effort, you could build a better life. But now, the dream feels more like a moving target. One that keeps getting pushed further away, especially for young people, working families, and anyone starting at the bottom. Yet in the middle of all this, people still show up. They still grind. They still hope for better. That resilience deserves more than applause. It deserves real change. A system where wages reflect reality, where healthcare isn't a luxury, where education isn't a lifelong debt sentence, where working full-time means you can actually afford to live, not just survive.